Moderators, welcome back. It is Happy Friday Eve. I actually had let's see, is she in the chat tonight? Diarsha, are you in the chat tonight? She taught me that this is called Happy Friday Eve. Everyone, welcome to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion on Happy Friday Eve. Tonight's episode is Family Feuds, Bravo Bandits, and a broken Chicago. Before we get started, let's see who's in the chat with us. I feel like we're becoming a family. LVF99, welcome back. Brenda K, always good to see your name. Nisha Phillips, welcome back to Celebrity Court. SL Warrior, welcome back. Essa Stone, 5446, welcome back. Lady Aries, hello from the DMV. I think you might be new. I'm not used to seeing your name, but we love having you. Sandra McGee, yep, that's a familiar name right there. Sandra McGee, welcome back. New York, Mari, always good to see your name. Welcome back. And she said, Happy Pre-Friday. It's called Happy Friday Eve. All right, Guitar Diva, RVA, welcome back. Charlene Lambert, where you been? I missed you on Tuesday. Welcome back. Brian A, Z to E, welcome back. Welcome back. Tanya McNeil, haven't seen you in a while. Make sure you join us now. Welcome back. Collect Davis, our resident real estate broker. Welcome back. Who else? Death God. Death God, where you been? Where you been, Death God? Haven't seen you. Welcome back. And Sandra McGee, absolutely. I feel like we're becoming a family, and I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, Thursday night. Listen, tonight, we're not just talking headlines, everybody. We're opening family vaults, reality TV closets, and that dark alley where no comments dares to go. First up, the House of the Combs. Yes, you heard me right. Sean Diddy Combs. While Diddy sits in federal prison, the streets are whispering that his legacy is on trial inside his own family. Now listen, heirs are going against Mama Janice is what they're saying. Assets versus allegations. And everybody swears that they're just protecting Diddy's legacy. Then we slide over to Bravo world. Man, those Bravo talents are lined up going to prison quicker than what? The regular prisons that we see on the street. Well, in the Bravo world, well, the taglines might as well be, you can't pay your bills, but you can hold what? A daggone mugshot. Mia Thornton allegedly walks off with $11,000 worth of furniture, and Erika Jayne's lawyer is accused of flipping COVID relief money into designer drama and legal fees. If that's not reality TV, then guess what it is? Rico version. We also got a brand new accuser stepping forward against Smokey Robinson. My God, the man is like 90. This time, it's a man. Yep, you heard me correctly. It's a man. Adding another wrinkle to what legend means to the Me Too era for men of a certain age. And then Chicago. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you've seen it, but I definitely have. This story that has rocked Chicago has rocked me too. A mother and her 9-year-old son was stomped, punched, dragged by school-age kids outside of an elementary school. And guess what? It's all on video. No producers, no editing, just a real-life horror story in broad daylight. I can't wait for the lawyers to break that down. So tonight, we're asking one question. Is this justice, or is this just America with the right ring light? This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. And joining us tonight, we have attorney Sean Carter, attorney Shatan Turner, and bringing up the rear, but not last, attorney Jason White. Attorneys, welcome to Celebrity Court.
Thanks for having us, Your Honor.
Court is now in session. Are we ready? Tia Tompkins. Smokey got 1 foot, 6 foot under the other. You're right, Smokey. You're right, Tia Tompkins. I don't understand this whole Smokey thing either. All right, let's get this started right here. All right, first up, the first case is called the House of Combs. It's coming straight off the docket. Now, Diddy's locked up. So who is really in charge? And that's what we want to know. Let's start with a dynasty in disarray. Sean Diddy's Combs is in federal prison after being convicted under the Mann Act for transporting individuals across state lines for prostitution. Now, listen, he got 50-month sentence, supervised release, and a legacy that went from bad boy for life to bad press forever. Now, while he's locked up, social media has been lit up by posts, interviews, and whispers suggesting tension between Diddy's heirs and guess who? Mama Combs. Yep, Janice Combs, over the control of assets, companies, and the Combs brand itself. Now, we've already seen his children involved in legal battles tied to his empire, like the lawsuit Diddy's son filed over the book about Kim Porter that they say defamed their late mother. Now, nobody's putting all the paperwork on the table publicly yet, but we know this much. There's a convicted mogul. There's real money allegedly on the line, and there are multiple generations of Combs trying to decide what legacy looks like when the cameras are off and the lawyers are logged on. All right, let's go to you first, Sean Carter. Please tell us what's going on here. Now, this seems like a little fight. Seems like something's not right in the Combs household. Tell us what's going on and what's the difference between probate versus power here.
Well, before we get to that, don't we have some video or something here that shows the craziness that's going on? No. Good.
I think you just got video of them coming out of court.
Fair enough. So basically, what'd you say?
There were a couple bad wigs.
Yeah, there was definitely that. There was definitely that. What we have here now is basically empire in real life. All right. We got Terrence Howard, right? He's in jail. All right. Cookie Mama took over. All right, but Cookie had better wigs. Let's give her that. And she's trying to do her thing. And then you got two kids. One of them, Jussie, just lying, acting a fool. And then you got King Combs. Now, Diddy is in jail. It's still his company. There's a president of the company who's been there since 2017, but technically Diddy still has control. And just because you're in jail, it's not like probate, it's like pro-wait. All right, you still own everything, you still can run everything from jail. He has a son that says, he said to I've given my son sort of creative control here. And the question is like, how much control does he really have? I imagine that things still have to be signed by Diddy, or the final decisions still have to be made by Diddy. And so everybody's trying to sort of, become Diddy's right hand. Mama's obviously trying to preserve the whole thing, because in addition to the lawsuit you mentioned the lawsuit you mentioned, aren't there like 40 other lawsuits about assault out there? That various people, and that didn't go away with the criminal trial. So all these people who said that Diddy assaulted them and been suing every week. Those people are still out there. And so there's a lot of stuff to try to protect. And a lot of people who, think about it. If you could be Diddy's right-hand person during the 4 years he's in prison, you can be pretty much set up after that. So everyone's trying to angle to be,
the main one in charge. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Weiss. Attorney Weiss, I need to know, he's not dead.
No.
He's only in prison.
No.
Okay, hold on. Because the question here is this struggle for power within the family, is this to protect his assets because he has so many lawsuits against him? Because in that case, I understand that, he's moving assets around, he's moving money to protect from being able to have his assets go to all these civil lawsuits. Is that what is going on, or is this more a power play of, who they basically are saying, going to take the reign from their daddy's legacy?
So the truth of the matter is this, right? And you said it, Your Honor. He is alive. He is well. He can still make his decisions. His three biggest companies are his entertainment company, his media company, and his clothing brand. There are CEOs and presidents on each of those that each one is controlled. So there are three individuals that control all of those. Diddy still gets to make the decision. What mom and the kids are fighting about makes no sense, right? Because if he goes ahead and starts transferring assets now, today, doing whatever, the courts are going to say those are fraudulent transfers. Those are transfers done to avoid giving the creditors any type of money or restitution. So even if they move everything, right? They moved everything today. They moved everything 6 months ago. They moved everything anytime after these charges and allegations came out. The court has the power to go and say, no, those were fraudulent transfers. Grab them, claw back, and anybody that got this is going to go ahead and have, that problem later on. So if he transferred it to mom, they can go and they can take that money out of mom's bank account.
Got it. Okay, this is good to know. All right, Attorney Turner, let's go to you real quick. So if I hear Jason correctly, as Diddy faces civil claims as well as potential future lawsuits from alleged victims, that's in direct conflict then this family, meaning his kids, trying to preserve his wealth by having it transferred to them. Is that correct? Give me the legal breakdown here, please.
Yes. I mean, as Attorney Weiss and Attorney Carter indicated, there are some things that baby oil can't smooth over. And that is family disputes about money, right? Like whenever there's a family conflict and money's involved, the conflict just multiplies. And so what they're really fighting about is control. They're not fighting about necessarily all of the legalities about who runs his companies, because they're corporations and they have structures, as Attorney Weiss indicated. But the children might be fighting so that grandma doesn't spend all the money on wigs and whatever else she's into, right? So they want to neutralize her in order to, in their opinion, preserve the assets for the benefit of the family. And they think that she might squander it if she's left in charge. And, you know, I'm not saying she will. However, allegedly, she used to be big time into the freak offs and may have been the one who invented them, right? And so based on what came out in the trial, they may no longer trust their grandmother's judgment the way that they did before, assuming that they did.
Okay, so is it fair, lawyers, is it fair for me, from what I'm listening to, this isn't about who owns the legacy then? This is about everybody wants the music, the mansion, and the memories.
They want to make sure there's something left when he gets out of jail. And so that's really what this is about. And it's also about, you know, he does have control in prison, but let's just be clear. It's not like he can take a meeting whenever he wants to. So his ability to have influence isn't like it was in The Sopranos when Tony would go away for a while and people would come and they would meet with him in that room and he would still control everything. I mean, he doesn't have the ability to do what he did before. But I think Attorney Carter mentioned this. The real question is, what does Diddy want? Right? The fact that they're fighting with their grandmother about this control issue, as I read, he hasn't actually executed a power of attorney indicating that somebody has the ability to make decisions on his behalf when he's unable to. So he could shut it all down.
That's an excellent point, Attorney Turner. All right, Sean Carter, let me know this then. If you were Diddy's attorney, how would you be structuring this estate? Would you leave it with Mama Combs, or would you be spreading it out amongst all your kids?
No, I would probably advise Diddy to do exactly what he's doing now. All right. I know I do this for my kids. All right. I make them fight for my love and attention. All right. And that's what Diddy's doing. It's like, hey, you can think about it. You're going to come see me on visiting day. All right. If I got a company to give you. All right. If I give it over to somebody else or do something else, you're not coming back anymore. He need to actually be worse.
Okay. Well, if the House of Combs is a legal soap opera, Bravo said, hold my peach, because over in reality TV land, they're not just flipping tables, they're allegedly flipping furniture and flipping PPP loans money too. Yep, you heard me correctly. Former Real House of Potomac star Mia Thornton was arrested at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport on a felony theft charge. Police say she walked off with over $11,000 worth of furniture and electronics from a condo that she was renting. Yes, the big R. Allegedly moving out in the middle of the night like she was escaping an eviction, and leaving the owner with an empty unit and a big problem. So, from Mia the mogul to Mia with Where Is the Mattress, the glow up just met what? A lineup. All right, lawyers, tell me what's going on here. Let's go to you first, Jason Weiss. Okay, now, if you're renting an apartment, no, actually, you know, this is something that we can all learn from. If you're renting an apartment and the furniture you are renting to, you can't take that furniture, can you? But before you answer that, let's throw to the video real quick.
I want you to throw your shoes on. Yes, ma'am. Come on. Good time. You want your hands? Excuse me. You want your hands? Hold on. Relax for a second. Relax. You want your hands this way, or you want your hands turn them inside like you're crying? Going this way? What's your way more comfortable? Okay. Let's. Okay. All right. That's fine. We'll go that way.
All right, bailiff, you can move off of that. All right, I want to get into this really quickly. All right. So we see she got arrested. She landed in Atlanta. Obviously, there was a warrant for her arrest, Attorney Carter. Talk to us about what's going on with this particular case.
Okay. So we all remember in April, all right, girlfriend said, hey, look, I'm too big for Real Housewives of Potomac. I need to go to Atlanta, do my thing. I got other projects. She moves down to Atlanta, starts renting this place for like $5,000 a month. And she's there just enjoying herself, chilling, and she gets a little behind on rent. She missed September rent, and then October, and the landlord files a eviction notice, says, hey, I want my money, I want my $11,000. And she says, yeah, I'm gonna get it to you. In the middle of the night, moved out. All right. And moved out in the middle of the night in late October 28th. The landlord doesn't find out until like the 6th. And then he says, hey, she didn't just move out. She took the furniture, the couch, the TV, all the stuff. All right. Took the fridge. And he's like, look, and so he goes to police, files a report for felony theft. But remember, they don't go get her because $11,000 in Atlanta, that's not stealing nothing. All right. They're not coming to get you for $11,000. But she makes the mistake of going to the airport. Because she doesn't realize that when you go to the airport, they check when they do that little thing, the little machine, they wipe your stuff. They also make sure you don't have any warrants. And so that's where they catch her, at the airport. All right. She's getting ready to go somewhere else to rip off somebody else. And I give her credit, though. She probably knew she was getting arrested because she looked fine in the booking photo. All right. So she knew there was something going on. And that's what they're getting her for. And so now she's charged with felony theft for, felony theft for the $11,000 or with the $9,000 or $11,000 of furniture and electronics she took with her when she left. And then there's still the issue, though, of back rent and all of that.
Got it. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Turner. So I think what could be interesting for our algoriters, and I'm guilty of it, not guilty of it, but I've done it. I've rented furniture before now. In college, I've rented my furniture now from Rent-A-Center. Talk to us how important it is that when well, Jason, you probably had family give you furniture.
No, but that's not what happened here. No.
That's not what I'm talking about. I just want Attorney Turner to give us advice, though, because I think for our algoriters, a lot of our algoriters, like I said, including myself, we have rented furniture. I want to talk about how important it is that you make sure that you give that furniture back when you can't make that payment, because it could, in fact, lead to a felony charge if you try to steal it.
Well, taking anything that you don't own could lead to a felony charge. Because a felony is determined by the amount of what is allegedly stolen. The one quick thing I wanted to point out for the algoriters, Attorney Carter mentioned it, but I wanted to drive it home. So if you have been charged with a crime, not that I encourage crime. I actually encourage everybody to comply with the law. However, if you believe that you've committed a crime and they're looking for you, where you never go is anywhere where they scan your ID. Because when they scan your ID, they run a background check, and that's when they identify anything that they might be looking for you for. And so her mistake was thinking what she did in the still of the night wasn't going to see the light of day. Because if anybody's had rental property, what folks always do when they're skipping out on you is leave in the middle of the night and take your shit, right? That happened to me. That happens to everybody. So, I don't know if the algoriters don't know this lesson, Your Honor, but don't take things that don't belong to you, and then you don't have to be worrying about it.
All right, Jason Weiss, let's go to you real quick. Talk to us, what advice would you give algoriters if they are renting furniture or renting properties? Skipping in the middle of the night is not getting out of what you owe.
So look, if she just went ahead and left this apartment and didn't make her payment, it would have been civil. she would have never gotten flagged. It never would have been a problem. But when she walked away with that landlord's furniture, that in and of itself was the crime. And that's what the problem was. So look, if you rent a place and it's fully furnished, when you give it back, it needs to be fully furnished. Now, if you swap out a chair cushion or you change a light fixture or you do something like that, they may or may not but you need to leave it in the exact same condition you got it, except for normal wear and tear. And she didn't do that. And she got caught and she thought she was above the law. And that's it.
All right. Well, this is a lesson here. Look, if you're renting, you got to give it back the way you found it. Now, the Beverly Hills adjacent drama. Erika Jayne's longtime attorney, James Jim Wilkes, is facing a lawsuit accusing him of misusing COVID PPP funds. Didn't y'all think that was passed already, everybody? Well, allegedly pulling in millions in pandemic relief and then using that money to float an extravagant lifestyle and bankroll legal wars connected to the Bravo star, Erika Jayne. Now listen, they claimed that he boasted payroll numbers to get more relief, and then the money walked right out the door in the name of glam, law, and luxury. All right, let's turn to you, Attorney Carter. Once again, explain to us what happened in this case. How did they find out? And if we have algorithms that have possibly done something illegal in that PPP form, how did they make that wrong right?
If you've done something wrong with the PPP, they're going to get you. All right. And they don't have a time limit on it. Just make sure you're good to kids. Hug them every night before bed because you might go to work and not come back. Okay. That said, let me explain to you what happened in this case. Erika Jayne was the wife of, or is the wife, and it was the wife because she's divorced him, of a lawyer named Girardi. He was a big Beverly Hills lawyer. He used to do big time, product liability or personal injury cases. He's the guy who was the Edward Finney character or Albert Finney character in Aaron Brockovich. All right, this is a big time lawyer. So he gets her on the show, and in the meantime, he's ripping off all of his lawyers. I mean, all of his clients in his firm. They find out about it when he gets old and dementia and they can't make the money, and he owes hundreds of millions of dollars. So she's being sued personally by a lot of these people who say, hey, he gave our money to you, all right, to get you on this show, to get you that hair. You don't look like that normally. And as a result, we want our money back. All right, so everybody is suing her personally. And this at the time of the pandemic. Her lawyer decides, hey, we got to pay all these fees out. I can't do all this legal work. We got lawyers out there and they're going to not do the work anymore. You don't have any money. All right, Bravo pays a little bit, but not this much. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to inflate my numbers with the number of employees I have. I'm going to say I have 40 employees around here. They're going to give me $4.4 million in PPP money. I'm going to then funnel that money to your lawyers to keep defending you in these lawsuits. So understand, this lawyer Wilkes is accused of stealing money that he didn't even use. He gave it out to other lawyers. And I was like, why would you do this? And the only thing I can come to the conclusion of is he likes being a Hollywood lawyer. Right. He had one Bravo client. He wants to get all the Bravo clients. And by the way, as we know, someone just said, it's the Real Housewives of prison. All right. They're going to all be in jail at some point. So he figured, I can get all this back. I can be the Bravo lawyer. And so he has stolen money from the government to fund her legal defenses. It's a bizarre case. And we'll see what happens.
All right, Attorney Weiss, help me understand this. How does PPP fraud work legally? Now, hold on before you answer. Are we talking, is it just a civil instance in which they have to repay the money, or anybody that's involved in PPP and they did something wrong? Or can it be criminal and lead to prison time as well?
So they committed fraud on the federal government. So it is criminal. They can go ahead. They can face prison time. Now, sometimes they'll say to you just flat out, hey, you took too much PPP money, or you took illegally PPP money. Return it now, pay interest, pay a fine, no harm, no foul. But they don't have to do that. And most oftentimes they don't. They're going to go ahead and they're going to come down with the letter of the law, and they're going to come down with the hammer. You took money that wasn't yours. You knew you shouldn't have taken it. It's a crime. It's fraud. You're going to jail. You could say, well, I don't want to go to jail. I could pay it back, restitution, do all this and do all that. And sometimes the government will listen. But look, down here in South Florida, it was rampant. People
Right.
were buying new Ferraris, new Lamborghinis, all different types of cars, trips, all of this. Politicians were doing it. Government officials were doing it. Individuals were doing it. Spouses were doing it. It was like the biggest thing. PPP money was supposed to go ahead and allow small firms like myself to allow their entire staff to stay on and not miss a beat. I had 5 employees at the time. I did what payroll was. Every nickel, they checked it. I got paid, all good to go. The next time around, I had 4 employees. Couldn't claim the 5th one anymore, and that's all you're supposed to get. This was a handout from the government to help small businesses and people that lied to the government. It's like fraud on your taxes. It's the exact same thing. So
All right.
that's it. PPP, don't mess around.
Right. I understand that. Attorney Turner, walk with me, please, for a second. I did it. I applied for PPP. I got it both the first time and the second time. But I got to be honest, there were no structure to it. There was no structure to it. I mean, if you are not an honest person, you could have put any number in that formula and got money. Like, I guess the reason why I'm asking this question is for those people who aren't from a business background, who didn't know exactly what they were doing, is there any space for an argument that the government was not at that time diligent in doing due diligence?
That's a creative argument. However, you can't blame the government for your fraud. So that's really the issue. In order for there to be a crime, there has to be intent, right? So if someone made a mistake and it's proven that they made a mistake, then they will likely be more lenient against them in terms of the penalty. But in terms of what's described here, if it's accurate, it was intentional fraudulent misrepresentation on the government. I mean, people like Jason Weiss, there are few men who are as good as Jason, right? And he's a lawyer. My goodness, you know what they say about us. But the other people, instead of using the money appropriately, like Jason was, got to use this metaphor again, they were using it like baby oil to grease the skids of their life, right? They were like, oh, the government isn't doing their due diligence. The government isn't doing their research. This is so easy to get. They took advantage of the crisis. And so in some respects, they represent the worst among us. And I don't know if it was just in Miami, like Attorney Weiss indicated, because this is actually at least the 3rd case we've talked about from Hollywood, and the second that we've talked about related to a Real Housewife connection related to PPP, because we talked the last time about the Hilton woman, the Kyle Richards, her ex-husband
Right.
got involved in this PPP scandal. And so I just think that people were they took advantage of the casual nature, and they took liberties that they wouldn't have taken if there had been more structure. But that's not a defense against misconduct.
All right, I guess you're right. All right.
The one thing was, when you filed your PPP and you took it, you swore at the end that what you are claiming was legitimate and all of that. And if you did do something wrong, that you could be subject to a criminal charge. It was on the papers. So they knew it, they signed it, they did it anyway. And look, it took the government 5 years, 6 years to go get it. But we want to make sure that, all of our government employees get all their back owed money and do all this. So the government needs their money to pay everybody.
Okay. Well, here's the truth. A lot of these reality stars don't have storylines, but guess what they do have? They now have criminal or civil cases. The show holds the peach, but guess what? The DA holds the receipts.
I think Real Housewives is going to be called True Crime.
Right, the Real House Prisoners. Okay. All right. And while Bravo is busy doing Bravo things, a Motown legend just got pulled into a very different kind of spotlight. This time, the accuser isn't a background extra or a faceless Jane Doe. This time, ladies and gentlemen, it's a man. Before we move on to our next story, if you're enjoying the show tonight, be sure to hit that like button. If you have not already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit the share button and invite some friends. I need this family that we've developed here to invite more family in. As always, don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we love it when you drop down in the chat. We see we got an OG back. Greetings and salutations from OG Patrice. Patrice, where you been? For you. And Christine R., where you been? You've been real quiet tonight. Usually you'll have, a little something for Jason. We're still looking. All right, this time, everybody, like I said, it's a man. An explosive new story is coming out in Hollywood. A man has come forward accusing Motown icon Smokey Robinson of sexual assault again, but first time for it being a man. He's alleging that Smokey forced him to grab his erect, you know what? According to reports, the alleged incident took place in 2022, and the accuser says the experience has left him traumatized. Prosecutors has indicated that criminal charges are unlikely because of the statute of limitations issue, but the accuser could pursue civil remedies, and the court of public opinion is very much still open for business. All right, Sean Carter, give us a rundown. What is going on here? And who knew that if you're 90, it still gets hard?
I didn't know at 58, but that's beside the point. All right, the point is we got a video here.
The point, is that what you're saying? The point?
Y'all are so bad.
I know. So what happened with Smokey was early this year, we covered this actually. 4 women who were housekeepers said, hey, Smokey's a monster. All right. Every time he's in the shower, all right, he's singing, you gotta have a hold on me, and he want to make sure you take a hold of him, and you can't come nowhere near the shower, nowhere near anywhere, because Smokey just running around, trying to get you to grab it or do other things with it. This guy says, I went to work there too, and apparently he don't have good eyesight, because he said, man, woman, or whatever, you're gonna touch this. And so the man said, and interestingly enough, 2022 has happened.
Water in my court, you're so nasty.
True, but this one, I ain't the one doing that, Smokey. All right. And allegedly. And so the guy said in 2022, but he said, hey, I'm a man. I fought Smokey off. I quit the job. He said, Smokey's wife called him back, said, you got to come on back. All right, these women's hands are weak. You got to come on back and handle this. And I don't know if that's what he said, but here's what I do know what happened is that these women filed their $50 million lawsuit. By the way, people understand, Smokey got 50. Smokey got 500 million. All right, every song you've ever had in Motown, Smokey has got credits on. And so they're like, we want a piece of this money. And he says, hey, I want a piece of that 50. So I'm going to come in and try to get my claim in. And this is a continual pattern. And now we've got 6 people, 5 women and now 1 man, who all claim that you don't want to get too close to Smokey anytime soon.
Attorney Turner, we watch the Me Too movement mainly through the lens of women accusing powerful men. How does the law, this is going to be interesting, how does the law and juries respond when the survivor is a man and the accused is older and a beloved music legend?
Well, first, I do not want to believe that this is true. Smokey actually comes to Pittsburgh quite often because his daughter lives here. And so I've met him a few times and he's always been, above board with me, but I wasn't cleaning his house as it relates to, or anything else. As it relates to the law, it is gender neutral as it relates to these claims, at least in theory. Right? Because it is harassment, it's assault, and it's irrespective of whether the person who's the victim is a man or a woman. The way that the gender can influence things with the jury on the civil side is with damages, because sometimes they can be less sympathetic to men than they are to women. But in this case, where I think that the gentleman has a leg up, no pun intended, is because he was an employee. And so the inequity of power gave Smokey control over his livelihood and his employment. And so that may help him if he ends up pursuing it all the way. But, not to say this was Smokey, but, I had a friend who was a professional athlete, and rumor had it that he started to fool around with dudes, even though he was alleged and believed to be straight. The word on the street was he just got bored because, like, at some point, all of the things with the women were the same. So he wanted some variety. And so I don't know if that's what happened with Smokey, but that may be how this man became a victim.
I feel like Smokey just he couldn't see his cataract. He just knew a worker was in the room. The worker usually grabs it, it's a part of the job description, and so that's what happened. I don't know.
There's no tears of that clown. I'll tell you that much.
I want to go. Brenda K. Brenda K. says, "What pills are Smokey taking?" He needs a sexual healing. Criminality Online says, "Leave Uncle Smokey alone. Many of us were conceived on Smokey's music." Ellen CA says, "Smokey's 85. He probably didn't know what he was grabbing."
He's auditioning for a Viagra commercial. We all know it. That's what this is all about.
Let's see. P. Monsell Singer said, "My girlfriend sings background for Smokey, and she and others were given a gag order." Oh, that's interesting. Ooh. Jason, tell us, what is that gag order used for?
So the gag order basically says that whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So it really means that you're not allowed to talk to the press. You're not allowed to go on social media. You're not allowed to do any of that. And there's a lot of times that could be in your contract. That could be in what you're doing. And it could say that, we can restrict you from going to the media, talking to others about this. And the gag order, it's not always enforceable, but if it's in a contract, it can be enforced.
You know what I always find interesting about like gag orders and non-disclosures is because so many people in those instances around the celebrities, they want to be famous one day. Mm-hmm. So they feel like they need to sign it or they need to follow it so that they too won't, their opportunity won't escape them. What were you saying, Attorney Turner?
What I wanted to point out is the irony, right? Because the gag order that applied to this girlfriend told her to shut the bleep up and not talk about Smokey or the gag order. But her boyfriend is on our show in the chat telling everybody that she knows this girlfriend knows that she did not comply.
What? The boyfriend is like, I'm not on the gag order. All right. Oh my goodness. Done a great observation. That is hilarious.
But the question is the gag order saying that you can't talk about a gag order, or is it saying that you can't talk about what's going on?
The ones that I've written always have said you can't discuss the existence of it. And you can't talk about the content.
Right.
However,
no pillow talk is allowed on gag orders.
Oh, wait a second. I all the time will get in a gag order like you're saying I can't talk about the existence of it. I strike that. So we can talk about the existence of it, just not the content. So it's very possible that there was no breach. And we got to stand up for our viewers.
All right. From alleged abuse behind closed doors.
That's the end of the relationship now.
From alleged abuse behind closed doors, to abuse in broad daylight, no entourage, no security, no lawyers, just a Chicago mom and her 9-year-old son. This really made me sad. And a pack of kids caught on camera doing the kind of violence adults like to pretend never happens in our community. Yes, everybody, you've been watching it all over social media, and if you haven't, you need to, because it definitely will strike a hard chord. In Chicago's South Deering neighborhood outside Orville Bright Elementary School, a viral video shows a 30-year-old mother who has sickle cell, Cassandra Hayter, and her 9-year-old son being brutally attacked by a group of school-aged children. They were not only attacked, they were punched, they were kicked, they were stomped, and they were dragged. And the mom herself was pregnant. Now, she says her son has been bullied at that school for over 2 years and that she begged administration for help. And she says for 2 years, they did absolutely nothing. The video is sickening. It's not a fight. It's a pack attack. Now the community is furious, demanding accountability for the kids, their parents, and the school system. Bailiff, take it away.
Bitch. Hey, for don't touch my brother foot. Why? Don't touch me. Oh, hell
I don't know why is this video cut? This video is way more intense than this. I don't understand why we're not getting all the video. So how it started was the little kids followed them down the street. The mother crossed the road so that she could protect her kids. Then one kid runs up on the little boy and punches him in the face. The mother tries to console him, and in consoling him, she tries to protect him, and they attack her. Now she's pregnant. You see in the video that she's pregnant. They push her up against a fence, and then through the arguing and scuffling, a little girl beats her up with her son holding and protecting her belly. And then they end up on the ground, and that's when that pack of kids, see, he got hit in the face. That's why he's crying. She's protecting him. And then they jump on her. She's visibly pregnant. He's protecting his mom, covering her stomach, and they jump on her. They start kicking her. And so she falls to the ground, and then they stomp her out. This is probably the saddest thing. This is, oh my. So I don't know why the video is not showing it, but they push her to the ground, and she's holding on to her son, and she falls to the ground, and then they just stomp her out. Attorneys, talk to me, and let's go to you, Attorney Carter. The thing that really is just so frustrating to me when I watch this video is it's kids, right? It's kids, it's minors. And not only is it kids fighting kids, it's kids fighting an adult who's pregnant. Now, my question to you, Attorney Carter, is a lot of Chicago showed up and showed out. Now, I will tell you that Chicago showed up and showed out. They rallied to this mother's defense. The community rallied to this mother's defense. But they're not only saying that the parents are wrong and the parents should be charged, but they're saying that the school as well should be held responsible. Can you tell us a little bit more about this story and what your thoughts are on who should be held responsible?
And this is a tough one. I got to tell you, the individual parents, there's no criminal liability that's likely to, unless they had told their kids to go out and attack this woman. Parents aren't usually held criminally responsible for the acts of their children. Children in our system, usually, unless they're tried as adults, don't have large prison sentences, etc. Some of them might be sent to detention for 30 to 180 days, but usually there's that kind of thing where you have to go to diversion programs, go to special schools, that type of thing. The real culprit to me here is the school. And I tell you why, because all of these kids were raised by different parents, right? Mm-hmm. Yet they all act the same. So it can't be that the parents somehow all individually encourage this behavior. It must be something that's happening in that school that would make people think that this is okay, that a number of kids, that's their common denominator. And fortunately, there is civil liability that can be imposed on this school. And I hope, there's a lawsuit that's coming against this school, because there's something that's going on there that would create, if one thing, one or two bad apples, but that whole bunch is rotten. And it's rotten, certainly the school didn't do anything to stop it.
Attorney Turner, you have 3 young kids that are the age of these school boys and girls. Is it the school's responsibility?
So I feel slightly differently than Attorney Carter about the liability necessarily flowing to the school for that reason, because they're all bad apples acting the same. I think one of the things that would be a stronger theory, in my opinion, is that they were right outside the school and there was no intervention and the school was likely aware. So she mentioned that he had been bullied for a long time and they didn't respond. There was a recent case in Virginia where this little kid who was in first grade brought a gun to school and shot his teacher, and she just recouped a bunch of money from the vice principal, who was aware that he had the gun and did nothing, and also from the school district. And so I think that would be the theory that I would just look into, is what did they know? When did they know it? I have to say, and I say this with all humility, the video didn't necessarily surprise me. It surprised me because it's 2025. But when I was a kid, kids were out of control and they would jump people. So when you say those were kids, I actually didn't really see kids. I saw a mob. And there's a certain mob mentality that takes over regardless of age, where people do things that they otherwise wouldn't have done. And I think that's what happened there. But I am not very encouraged about the future of Chicago based on that video. You know, Attorney Carter is right on this point, though. Schools do have the opportunity to create a culture that could mitigate it. So the school where my little guys go, their theme is kindness. And all of the kids that go there seem to be universally kind. And so I don't believe that they would engage in this kind of behavior. But something they decided. So here's the thing you have to be careful of as a parent and as an educator. Whenever a group otherizes a person, it justifies treating them less than humane. And so for whatever reason, they decided that little boy was other, not one of them, and they attacked, and the mother was a casualty.
Jason, let me throw to you really quickly. The mother has now decided to pursue legal action against not only just the kids, but against the parents of the kids. Can you talk to me how she's able to exercise that in the state of Illinois and specifically in the city of Chicago?
So those kids are minors, and the parents have control. The parents have a say. The parents are the guardians. So they're going to go after the parents too. I would, right? I'd go after the school. I'd go after the parents. I'd go after security if security should have been at the school. I would throw the kitchen sink. I would go after every single person. The thing that bothers me the most here is, look, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. It was not uncommon for kids to have fights outside of school. But the second a parent, a grandparent, an adult showed up, it was one of two things would happen. Either everybody would run and go home, or we continue to do what we're doing. But when those principals and teachers and parents were grabbing at us, yeah, maybe, you know, like swinging and trying to still stay in it, there was some collateral, but never an attack on an adult and never an attack on a pregnant woman. And that's where the problem is. So back to the original question that was asked at me, I'd sue everybody. If it happened on the next door neighbor's house, I'd sue the next door neighbor. Might as well get their insurance in there. I would sue everyone.
Okay, so Jason, let me ask you this. When you say sue, is this criminal or civil or both?
So she is going to sue civilly. She doesn't have a right to sue criminally. She can go ahead, report it to the police. The police can do an investigation. They can watch the video. They can come.
Being assaulted is not criminal?
No. That's not what I said. What I said is she cannot do anything. She goes to the police.
The mama can't sue because those little kids beat her ass.
Mom can't sue criminally. The only person that could make a complaint criminally is the state or the government. You can go to the state. You can go make your police report. You could do what you need to do. You can report it. The police and the government and the state attorney, they make the decision. Are we going to press charges? You can go ahead and walk to the courthouse the next day and file your civil suit and name everybody and their mom and their sister and their cousin and their dog and their aunts, put them all in the complaint and see what you get.
All right. I've been drinking, so I need you to break this down like I'm a 12-year-old. Okay. So if I get beat up by a pack of kids, I just want to make sure I understand.
Yep.
And I call the police. I can't, there's no criminal repercussions for, I just got my ass beat.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You, Your Honor, cannot file a criminal case. You can file a police report. You can go to the state attorney.
Okay, but then the attorney, the process. Okay, got it. Okay,
exactly. The only persons that can make that decision are the arresting officers. They go with the DA. The DA will say, yes, this is a case. Any DA is going to see this, and some sort of charges need to come to this. Look, if these kids are minors, which they are, they can all go to juvenile. They can all be in the system. They might not be tried as adults. They might not, but something needs to happen.
Jeez.
And can I repeat a point that was made so excellently by Attorney Turner?
Sure.
This is really, really important. It starts with words. And I've been so lucky. My kids, I have 2 special needs kids who have never been bullied. Now, that's amazing, right? But we chose schools in which had a serious policy where they did not even allow kids to tease one another because they could see how this works out. Once you create an outsider, then it becomes easy. If I can hurt them mentally and emotionally, then why not be able to hit them? And as a result, if you stop this, and this is why I'm so big on the school here. One, they have the money. I looked at that neighborhood. These parents are not going to have money, all right, to pay you any civil damages, okay? But the school funded by the state does. And it's their responsibility to create that type of culture. And this is speaking for a Black person, we really have to work on that in our culture. And to the extent that people who are in charge of 50, 60, 100, 400 Black kids at a time don't teach them that elemental thing, they're not only hurting them or hurting this kid and this mother, but they're not helping them for the rest of life. You can't go through life bullying people and making fun of people and ostracizing them. That's something that we have to be taught. And that's why the school needs to be held responsible.
All right, I agree. All right, well, this is my opinion. If your child is out here stomping a woman and her kids, that's a learned violence. I'm sorry. And I think that means that there needs to be accountability on the parent side, and it also needs to be accountability on the school side. Now, we love to scream, protect Black children. Y'all know I'm an educator, but until the Black child is bullied, right? And protect the Black children, protect the Black children. We learn that all the time. And I think someone in the chat said, who is that? Nisha Phillips, I have 4 children raised in DC public schools. I teach in DC public schools, and she's never seen or heard anything like this. Happy I live where I live because I would be in jail. That's absolutely correct. It's protect the Black kids until they're bullied. But this is what I think the truth is. Some of these kids, and I've witnessed this in the classrooms, they are being raised off of television and social media. And they emulate the behaviors that they see. And they think it's okay because they see people on TV get rich, dress nice, be pretty, and get tons of ratings and praise and likes on Instagram. So they think that they can now incorporate that exact same behavior into their own lives. And I am sick of these programs, especially the programs in reality TV that are focused on this type of behavior, like the baddies, like even the Real Housewives stuff, even the love and hip hop stuff. That is a reality that if our kids continue to buy into it, they're going to be in the juvenile system. They're going to be in the penal system. They're going to be felons for the rest of their lives. They need therapy. They need structure and parents who show up before the police do. That's my opinion as it relates to this. All right, everybody. Sorry that we had to get so heavy, but we had to cover this story because something in this culture has to change. And the conversation starts right here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. We're at that part of the show, though, where you, the algoriters and the jury get to decide who's guilty and who's not. All right. So, jury, get ready to weigh in. Jump down in the chat. This is where you get to clock in. I want your verdicts in the comments. I want your thoughts in the chat. And in your group text, throw a little something talking about celebrity court. First up, House of Combs. Are Diddy's heirs and Mama Janet's guilty of protecting the bag or guilty of protecting the legacy? Attorney Carter, what say you?
I think we're guilty of talking about this case and creating nobody there has filed a lawsuit. We are all up in their business, all in their Kool-Aid, don't know the flavor. Guilty on us.
Attorney Turner.
I mean, she's guilty of buying bad wigs, which may also indicate bad judgment. And so I think everybody's guilty of trying to protect the bag because ain't nobody trying to work, right?
Right. Say it louder. Say it louder. Attorney Weiss?
So they're all guilty of trying to get it before it's taken away from them. So they can fight over it now, but chances are when these 40, 50 cases come down the pipe, it's all going goodbye. So it don't matter.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I am the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. And I'm going to say this is less about protecting anybody's legacy. This is about protecting the bag. They are guilty of protecting the bag. Next up, that Bravo mess, Mia and Erika's orbit. Are we watching, quote, are they guilty of making mistakes or guilty of scamming? Ooh, that's a good one. Are they guilty of making mistakes or are they guilty of scamming? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
Both of these individuals are guilty of scamming. They knew what they did.
All right. Okay. Attorney Turner, say it louder.
Mia, I think, is guilty of scamming because there's no way she thought she owned that furniture. Erika Jayne, I don't know if she got the benefit that her lawyer did. He may have just loved the spotlight.
All right. Attorney Carter.
Did you see that picture of Mia? She ain't guilty of nothing. That woman is too fine to be guilty. I will take the punishment, girl. I'll take the rap. You innocent.
I really
girl.
can't do this with you, Attorney Carter. Listen, they're criminals. They're not innocent because they're pretty. Hello. All right.
It was only 11,000. She's at least 20,000 of stealing pretty.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court. And Attorney Carter, I'm sending you. All right, Mia and Erika, both of you are guilty. Guilty as charged. You guys know what the heck you're doing. Erika, you definitely know what the heck is going on, especially when he's paying all these lawyer fees to back up off of you. You know he don't have money like that. I'm finding them both guilty. All right, Smokey Robinson in the court of public opinion. Is he guilty or not guilty of making that man grab his junk? Attorney Carter, what say you?
I don't even want to say it, but the man wrote Motown. All right, he deserves at least a reach around. All right, help Pawpaw out.
Attorney Turner, what is going on in my court?
Smokey wanted to get smoked.
Oh my God, y'all are all going to ATLL. Attorney Weiss, please bring some legality back to this. Guilty or not guilty?
It's now called Hotown, so that's all I gotta say.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I guess I have to do this. I'm gonna find Smokey guilty of being old and a pervert. You should be grabbing the gardeners. You know what? Just not right. Guilty. Everybody in that house has been groped on. I guess he's an equal opportunity offender. I'm assuming. All right, last but not least, the Chicago attack. When you watch that video, who do you blame more? The kids, the parents, or the school system? All right, algorithms, drop down in that chat. When you watch that Chicago attack, when you watch the video, who do you blame more? The kids, the parents, or the school system? Attorney Carter, what say you?
I blame the school system.
Attorney Turner?
Oh my goodness. I blame the school.
All right, Attorney Weiss.
And I'm going to take the exact opposite, the kids and the parents.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I agree with you, Attorney Weiss. We're not going to put all that pressure on the school. They got a whole lot of culture that they can recreate, but it starts where? At home. I'm finding the parents guilty as charged. Parents Parents teach your kids their morals. And if you have the ability to attack and stomp out a mother, a grown woman, you ain't learned that in school. You learn that at home. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching tonight. Remember this. In this show, you aren't just viewers, you're the jury, and the world is watching how we judge our own. Tonight, we saw every level of the system on trial. A fallen mogul whose family is fighting over what's left of his empire, a reality TV star treating the legal system like another storyline, a musical legend facing accusations that say you're the greatest hit aren't the whole story, and a Chicago sidewalk that turned into a war zone with children on both sides of the trauma. But listen, here's what I'm left with. America loves to say no one is above the law, but we also love to look the other way for legends, for money, for ratings, and as well for comfort. Until a leaked email, a viral video, or a court filing drags the truth into the limelight, we can only just figure it out based on what we know. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, where fame needs consequences, where culture is the courtroom, and where your voice is the verdict. I'm Judge Al Reynolds. Court is now adjourned. Thank you for joining us.